Good day, everybody. It's Christian Jarvis, head of the Jarvis Wealth Management Group, senior investment advisor here at Canaccord Genuity in Vancouver. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Today's video is going to be about tax-free savings accounts. We did put out a video on this a couple of years ago, but I figured it was time for a refresher. So these plans were introduced by the Canadian government back in 2009. And as far as a tax-free savings account goes, or an RRSP, or a cash account for that matter with your investments, just think of it as a shopping basket. It is a basket in which you can put various investments, whether that be bonds, mutual funds, stocks, money market funds, GICs. Those sorts of investments can all go inside the plan. And the beauty is the money grows tax-free. Now, there is a limit to how much you can put in. Every January, the limit does reset. In 2009, it started at $5,500 per year that Canadian investors were allowed to contribute to the plan. It has changed over the years. I'm going to show a summary in a minute. But right now, it's $6,000 that can go in come every January 1st. If you have not contributed to a plan or opened a plan since their inception in 2009, that is, if you are over the age of majority when they started, the limit up to the beginning of this year is $81,500. So $80,000 roughly. That's quite a chunk you could put into a tax-free savings plan. And again, I don't see any downside to these plans. I see them as probably the best savings vehicle that the government of Canada has put out since the introduction of RRSPs back in 1957. So there are a few differences between a tax-free savings account, TFSA as we call it, and a registered retirement savings plan, RRSP as we call it. One of the similarities is the money or the investments inside the plan does grow tax-free. So that's a benefit to both of them. The key main difference is with a TFSA, when you put money into it, you do not get to deduct that contribution against earned income. It's simply a plan where the money grows tax-free, but there's no deduction applicable when you put the money in. Now, this differs from an RRSP, which also has the benefit of tax-free growth. You do, in fact, get to deduct the contribution you make against your income. So there's an extra tax benefit there. Now, when it comes to the TFSA, there are some benefits over and above the RRSP as far as withdrawal flexibility goes. So, for example, when you pull money out of an RRSP, it does come back into taxable income. This is not the case with a tax-free savings account. When you pull the money out, it comes out completely tax-free, whether it's the principal you've put in or any of the growth you've enjoyed inside the plan. The other beauty with the TFSA is, unlike an RRSP, if you pull the money out or you pull some money out of the plan, you actually can recontribute that same amount back to the plan come the following January 1st of the next calendar year. Again, this is not the case with an RRSP. Once you pull it out, that's it. You lose the room and you do not get that back again at any point in the future. Now, again, both plans have their advantages, and I invite people to reach out to me at any time if they want to get more granular onto the differences and the advantages of one over the other. I guess the other similarity I will mention is that if you don't use your contribution room, it does get carried forward. That's both in the case of an RRSP or a TFSA. And again, being introduced in 2009, if people have not opened a tax-free savings plan, they could have considerable outstanding room available. Again, it's up to almost $80,000 now. In fact, I am just going to pull up a chart quickly here to show people how the different contribution limits have added up over the years and where we're currently at. So bear with me 1 second here. I'm just going to get my screen sharing going here. 1 second. Okay, so here we go. This does go back all the way to 2009, which was the inception year. You can see there, the opening year was a $5,000 limit. It did jump up to $5,500, and in 1 year, even back in 2015, it jumped to $10,000. Following year, back down to $5,500 all the way through. This goes up to 2021, which is $6,000. 2022, also $6,000. So again, if you have not used your TFSA, your outstanding contribution limit is $81,500. The other thing is, I don't think I mentioned this, and if I didn't, I'm going to repeat. If I did or didn't, I'm going to repeat it anyways. If you pull out any money from your tax-free savings account, so let's say you had $70,000 in outstanding room available, and you pulled $20,000 out of your plan, come the following January, not only would you be able to use that $70,000 in outstanding room, plus the 6,000 for that current calendar year, you'd also be able to tack that $20,000 withdrawal amount back onto your outstanding limit. So again, tons of flexibility as far as contributions go. And again, as far as I can see, no real downside. It's a nice shopping basket in which to park investments that are allowed to go tax-free throughout your lifetime. Now, a special note for some of our younger investors, maybe children or grandchildren of our clients. In British Columbia, every province is different, but in British Columbia, you actually cannot open a tax-free savings plan until you turn 19. However, your contribution room does start ticking away from age 18. So when and if you decide to open one, say you're 19, 20, 21 here in BC, you will be able to go back all the way to 2000, or sorry, the year that you turned 18, and to start that accumulation of $6,000 a year to build up your outstanding contribution room, which again is a bit of a benefit as well. Unfortunately, you have to wait one extra year to invest here in BC as a young investor or a new investor. However, it does, again, the clock does start ticking at age 18. Now, another main difference between an RRSP and a TFSA is, let's say somebody did want to get a loan, they could actually use their TFSA as collateral for that loan. This is not the case with an RRSP. Those are exempt as collateral when it comes to a loan situation. So again, kind of a big difference there between the two plans. TFSA can be used as collateral in a loan situation. Now, when it comes to tax-free savings accounts, there is another thing to keep in mind, and that is how the plan relates to your spouse or your common law partner. Now, there are two ways of doing this, but you can either name a beneficiary or a successor holder. And what we typically recommend is naming your spouse or common law partner as a successor holder. And what that means is, should you pass away, your plan just moves directly to your surviving spouse or common law partner again. No questions asked, it just moves right over. In fact, they could combine the tax-free savings plan with their existing tax-free savings plan and just turn it into one account. So that is a very straightforward way of doing it, should one pass away before the other in a relationship. However, you can also name a beneficiary as well, just like an RRSP. Again, I'm not going to get into a ton of detail here, but I do invite people to reach out to us to see which method is best for each individual situation, whether it's naming beneficiaries, which again don't have to be even your spouse or common law partner. You could also be talking about children or other beneficiaries here, but there are advantages to one over the other. Again, you have a choice between naming a beneficiary or a successor holder. And again, there are advantages to one over the other depending on everybody's unique situation. Two other key and final points I will add to the tax-free savings account conversation revolve around making a contribution to your spouse or common law partner's TFSA. So if spouse one wanted to contribute to the plan of spouse two, they would not affect their own contribution room. Their contribution stays intact, and the contribution room actually gets reduced for spouse two receiving the contribution to their plan. So that's one thing that makes them unique. The other thing is when it comes to the attribution rules, if spouse A makes a contribution to spouse B's plan, and there is growth within the plan, there are no attribution rules going back to the first spouse making the contribution. Everything grows tax-free within the second spouse's tax-free savings plan, and it's just as though they own the account and they own the assets, and there's no attribution rules going back to the original spouse who made the actual contribution. So again, that does differ from an RRSP, and again, does distinguish the plans from one another. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep it simple and brief, just provide a very high level outline on tax-free savings accounts, some of the advantages. Again, I really do think they're incredibly good plans with no downside whatsoever. The advantages certainly are abundant and do outweigh any disadvantages. I like the fact that every year we get a new amount we can contribute to the plan. It's something everybody in Canada as an investor should consider. I will leave it at that, but there are more details involved with these plans. So if anyone does want to reach out and learn a little bit more than what I've shared today, I'm always available. And I do look forward to hearing from you. And other than that, I'm going to wish everyone a wonderful day, and I look forward to being in touch soon on one of our other topics. Thanks so much, and take care.